Morning, everybody. Here we go. Canadian tax time. There is so much going on. I just had a request from a friend who lives in a foreign country, and I do a lot of that foreign tax filings and share information. And this particular individual is not living in Canada, is residing in South America permanently for quite a few years. And he still has to file what's called an old age security return of income. So I thought I'd go through this quickly with you. There's so many different types of tax returns that we have to file. Even if we retire in another country, we break all ties with Canada, we become a permanent resident of that other country. Now, one of these forms that we have to file is called the T1136 Old Age Security Return of Income form. And let's ask why. Why do I have to file this? I've been told I've broken all ties. I don't have to file anything with Canada. Well, it's Canadian income. And let's see what the Revenue Canada website has to say about this. You know, I always take you to the source. This is educational tax videos. I am a chartered professional accountant from Carameas, British Columbia, and I do currently reside in Mexico. So I'm quite familiar with this stuff. My specialty, I did a lot of international taxation, First Nations taxation. Yes, I am an Indian at Lower Milk and Indian Bands or Indians. And yes, I pay tax because I claim my reserve off income. And I like to have my hospital services and roads paved and that sort of thing. And the parks I like to enjoy. So that is who I am. So we're going to take a look at this old age security return of income. For those of you that are on it, I'm still not there yet. I'm just on Canada Pension Plan. So the purpose, what's the purpose of the old age security tax return? It's a form T1136. You have to submit this every year because remember, Canada tax on worldwide income. Now, if your worldwide income or if your old age security benefits are more than Canada determines them to be, they will recover the tax. See, they call this a recovery tax. You know, they don't say, hey, you're paying tax. Of course you're paying tax. All right. So if you're one of those people that you're operating a business outside and you're getting these pensions, such as the OAS, you do have to file this. If every year with OAS, this is not the Canada Revenue arm. This is the Canada Service Canada pension arm of our government in Canada. And you file this every year and they decide, do you get the maximum? Do they lower the amount? Do you have to pay a recovery tax or do they take it off? Okay. What is world net income? Your world net income is all of your income from all your sources. Okay. So they deem if your net worldwide income for the year is higher than the threshold, and I'll show you the threshold table down below, it's about 93,000. They're going to recover some tax from you. So this return is only used to calculate your recovery tax. The CRA does not calculate any other Canadian tax from this form. So we're not going to get deep into the other Canadian tax returns because this is enough on its own. We can do that another day. This is just for the OAS. Okay, and the CRA doesn't issue the OAS payments, Service Canada does. Okay. So no matter what you, for this tax return, if you will, you're going to deal with our old age security pension department. Find out if you have to file. Okay, here's the criteria for filing. You must file an OAS return of income if you're a non-resident senior receiving OAS payments. Okay, so no matter what, you have to file, even if you're a non-resident. Okay, generally the recovery tax applies to non-residents as long as it's not limited or eliminated by a tax treaty. So depending on the country you're in, you're going to have to go look at those tax treaties. All right. Some exception tax treaties, you don't have to file OASRI for the year if all of the following conditions comply. You were a resident of a region or country listed below at the end of the year. So these are the countries. You received OAS pension during 2025. And if you do not have plans to move before July 1st, 2027 to a region or country that is not included on the list. All right. So say, for example, Ecuador. Well, if you're Ecuador, under the tax treaty, you're a resident there, you don't have to file if all of these conditions apply. Now, also a footnote here, you don't have to file the OASRI if you're a resident of Brazil. So there's something special with our tax treaty with Brazil, and you are a Brazilian national, okay? You were a resident of the Philippines, and your total Canadian pensions were $5,000 or less. So if the tax treaty for your region or country of residence with Canada is amended, you may not have to file the return. So things are always changing. So when in doubt, contact the Canada Revenue Agency. Okay, so the recovery tax. Oh, there is an additional tax applied to your OAS if you report net income that is more than the threshold. Now, these are the thresholds for the last 5 years. So in 2025, if your income was not 93,000, over 93,454, you don't have to file. So how do they calculate this tax? They use a rate of 15%, okay, only to the income that is above the threshold. So if you're, they'll apply a 15% rate above that. And the recovery tax cannot be more than the old age pension income, including supplements. Okay, just OAS, it doesn't talk about CPP here. Now, to calculate your recovery tax, if any of the situation applies to you, don't complete the chart. Instead, just contact CRA. The Form T1136. Okay? And they're asking a lot here because the legislation is changing so fast. I would say, if you immigrated or if you emigrated, if you came to Canada, if you left Canada in 2025 and received OAS, during part of the year that you were a non-resident, contact CRA in case the tax treaty has changed. Did you receive OAS pension throughout 2025? As a resident of one of the tax treaty regions for part of 2025 or not on the list for part of 2025? And then it brings in the Philippines again. We have these different, it's so vast and it's changing so rapidly. Always phone, get the agent ID, mark it down, the questions you've asked. And this, you can set up a little Excel spreadsheet for this to determine, and then if you're filing a regular tax return, although one wonders if you're a non-resident, why, you would have to file. Again, looking at that criteria above here. Okay, and maybe you have other income holdings, so you are going to file those tax returns. Maybe you still kept real estate property, rental properties, those sorts of things. No surprise here. Same due date as your personal income taxes have to be filed, no later than April 30th, 2026. All right, I'm not going to get into the penalties and that. I think what I would like to do, though, is if we can stop sharing this screen, and remember, I'm not a YouTube specialist. Okay, but what we're going to do is we're going to end this. We're not going to it is. Okay, so now I'm going to show you the actual return that you file. Okay, and here we go. And I'm just using Microsoft PDF because I get a lot of people can't afford Adobe. You're seniors, you're on a low budget, or students. I guess you wouldn't be in this income tax bracket to get this kind of income. So I just wanted to show you the form. It's only 2 pages. This is one of the simpler forms. You can download it and you can fill it in. So you could say Joe Smith, your social insurance number, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Divorced, single, separated. Your date of birth. Oh, let's just say 1956. Day. Your mailing address. 1024 Alma Street. Who knows? Just say Vancouver. I'm from British Columbia. And your postal code. Your country is Canada. Your language preference, they only give you 2 language preferences, although in Canada we print a lot of things. Okay, this is your residence. Okay, I'm a resident of Ecuador. Okay, you don't have to do this unless you're once you if you've been living there for 9 years, 10 years, only if you left partway during the year. Okay, and you came back. So only entry if you came back, entry if you, and then you get a tax or pension account number of your country of residence, and it'll probably be like NR, I don't know, BD 123. It depends on the country. Okay. Your old age security number. Generally on that, they put a 9 if you're a non-resident in front of your social insurance number. That's been my experience. That might change. And then here's where you would put in your income. So say you're, oops, it's not going to be that much. And then, oh, I guess I should put the 0 zeros. There's your OAS, your CPP. Maybe you had a small RIF, $2, who knows, just so you can see how it works. And then you're going to total everything up here. Unfortunately, the forms, they don't calculate for you, but they're very easy. Use your little handy dandy calculator on your phone, plus 11, plus $2. Okay, so that's going to be income of 19772. Okay. The amount from the previous page, 19772.00. Any deductions? Take a look at the guide, carrying charges, expenses. Look again at the guide. Generally nothing, but you may have something. There may be something in there that applies to you. See, now here's where it says the threshold or less. Old age security, recovery tax, a refund or a balance owing. Okay, we're way under the threshold. Okay, so for ease of purposes, now say for example, the government does send you a tax. Maybe they've withheld tax. Maybe they've just decided all the legislation changing so fast. So let's say they withheld 142. So this minus this, you're going to get your $142 back. Okay, that's another reason you want to file this tax return. This so-called recovery tax, okay? Sign, date, telephone number. This has been the simplest return. If you're a full-time non-resident and you're not having to file any other tax returns. There are different elections. As I said, we're not going to go into that under 217. Maybe we'll save that for another day. This was just something really simple. A friend had asked me, look, my dad's living somewhere and, it says we've got a package that we have to file this. So we filed it for him. Anyways, I hope you've enjoyed it. Please like, share. I do this as education. I don't charge, I don't ask for gifts, anything like that. This is just something I really enjoy doing.